Hi everyone, welcome to Now I See. I'm Sherry Bahum. Now I See is a dedicated program that takes us on spiritual journey of those lives who left the darkness of the world to see the light of Christ. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Thomas with me. Welcome Thomas, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much to inviting me to your program.
Thomas, tell me a little bit about yourself. So who you are, where you grew up, just a little bit about yourself.
My name is Thomas. I am a Japanese people and grew up in Japan, and different from any other audiences. I live in Japan, so no outside from Japan. So my English very poor, very sorry, but I try to introduce myself best.
So what's your background?
My background. Yeah, I see. I grew up in Japan, and I studied agriculture in the university, and I work as a programmer and system engineer in Japan. And mainly, currently, I work for system engineer or system maintainer at the university.
So what did you believe in before you knew Christ?
Oh, I see. It is very difficult question. So many Japanese people believe Buddhism and or Shinto. It is very dominant in Japan, but we Japanese people are not so very religious people. So Japanese people, celebrate Christmas, Easter, and even Halloween. But most of us do not go to Christian church. So most of us believe or Shinto, but merely we do not go to visit temple or Shinto shrine repeatedly. So only just at the beginning of the new year, we say Hatsumode. So Hatsumode means the first visiting to the shrine. So we are most of us are very not religious people, but I was exception. So I was very something religious man at some extent. So it is my story. I won't say here what I used to believe in before I baptized Christianity, but anyway, I once believed a kind of religion. So that religion taught me to avoid gambling, unfair tradings, or alcoholic drinks, or to respect parents and other people. So. For example, at my university or even my high school age, some of my classmates drank alcoholic drinks very much and smoked at that time. So even in my university age. So not but in my high school age, there was not so strong restriction in Japan for restriction to drinking alcoholic drinks or smoking for underage. So we could easily buy alcoholic drinks at the convenience store and vending machine, the alcoholic drinks. So I was quite astonished when I saw my classmates in the university or even high school drank alcoholic drinks at the welcome party of the university. Almost of my classmates did it. So I didn't drink. My classmate regarded that I was a very strange man. So also the religion taught me the concept of that there is only one God, so-called monotheism. though the idea in that religion is slightly different from Christianity. So anyway, God led me to the straight way, even though another. So it is now I think it is a mysterious grace for me. Finally, I abandoned the religion and I felt very anxious about keeping believing in that religion. So even after this, I kept seeking one God, the creator of the universe. This is my story.
But before you knew Christ, did you have any Coptic friends?
I have no Coptic friends in that time.
Did you have any Christian friends, like any Catholic, Protestants?
I have met Christ again 3 times. Yeah. First, it was a Lutheran church and the Roman Catholic Church, and finally the Coptic Orthodox Church.
Did you go to a Coptic Orthodox church before you knew Christ?
Yes. Before I met Christ, I went to Lutheran Church and Roman Catholic Church and Coptic Church.
And how was your experience?
The first encounter was in my high school age. When I went to my high school, there was a Lutheran church near my high school. So after school hours and Sundays, I sometimes visited church. So in the class of world history, I studied or I learned the religion reformation in the 16th centuries. So I studied the Lutheran Church or Reformation Church and some more Protestant churches in the world history. So I I wanted to study more about these churches. So many differences between the many churches and their teachings. So I sometimes visit the church. The chapel of the church is very authentic buildings, and it was very beautiful too. So because and they use hymn songs and music. So actually, first I visited the church because I wanted to listen to music in their liturgy. So, and the pastor and deputy young and very friendly. So the pastor treated me like a friend and a brother. So actually, he was about 20s or 30s. So for me, the pastor was not only pastor, but my elder brother. So he welcomed me to the worship service, chatting on weekdays. So he consulted me very private things in the school or in the entrance examination for university. I think he didn't intend to make me converted to Christianity at all. So instead, he welcomed me just for hospitality. So it was very comfortable for me because he did not force anything. So over 10 years later, though the church was far from my home, from I lived at that time, I decided to go there. I once lived together with a girlfriend, but finally I canceled, and my heart was something broken. So I expected a kind of cure and healing in Christianity. So at that time, the pastor in deputy had moved to another church, but I went to that church, and there are new two pastors. So they welcomed me too, and I was baptized. I finally baptized in April 2004. So I had a new girlfriend, and she became the of mine, the wife of mine, and she attended the baptism ceremony for me.
Did your wife get baptized as well?
No, just only me. So
Oh.
actually, my wife was not, and still is not Christian, but sometimes she attends to my church, my Coptic church.
Can you describe your overall life before you knew Christ?
So can I go on the another so encountering to Catholic and finally Coptic church?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, go.
So next story was how I converted to Catholic. So my former girlfriend and now my wife, and I decided to go marry in that church. But the two pastors who were both changed to new church, and the other pastor was come to former our church. So he was something not so friendly. So sometimes he asked unkind questions during our marriage counseling. Maybe he judged our sins, especially that I once lived together with another girlfriend, former, before I met my wife. So I finally gave up the marriage counseling. So it was very hard to keep counseling with my wife, and my wife thought with the pastor. So it was very sad story. So I finally gave up the marriage counseling, so mandatory for the marriage ceremony, which if we have a marriage ceremony at that church. So actually, the church was very far from my home. So me and my wife, decided to seek another and a more friendly church near my home. So my wife and I, seeked a church which is suitable for us. So there are very few Christian churches among my area, and finally found that Catholic Church was fit for us. So the Roman Catholic Church and the Lutheran churches share their liturgy and their dogmas to some extent, all the different by the difference is their theology about other churches. One church checks attendance. In another church, pastor's sermon is too long and something bored. And another church, the liturgy was chaos for us. So it means far different from our former church, Lutheran church.
You decided to go to the Catholic Church or to the Coptic Church?
Yeah. So I kept to go to church, go to Catholic church over 10 years. But finally, I talk about my story. I talk about my story about finding and converting to the Coptic church. So there were no Coptic church in Japan. So for us, Japanese people and even Japanese Christians, so there are over millions of Japanese Christians believers, but any of Japanese people do not know about Coptic Church. So for Japanese Christians, including me, Christianity is from Europe or United States. So came from there came many missions from Europe and United States historically.
So, is the Coptic Church, is it like too far to reach or to?
It was so very far. Or now there is a Coptic church in Japan, but former there were no church buildings or no congregations in Japan. So historically, so there were many churches in Japan, but they are from Europe or United States. So Saint Francis Xavier, he is Catholic saint, a Jesuit mission from 16th century. And again, many Catholic and Protestant missions came back from many European countries, US and Russia from 19th century after 200 years of prohibition of Christianity by the Japanese government. So do you know Japanese government? So Edo era prohibited prohibited the Christianity because Christianity is foreign religion. So many of us do not know Egypt, Ethiopia, and even Syria and Iraq, where today almost being demolished. These countries have a rich history and rich traditions of Christianity, but very few of us Japanese know about them. So actually, there was no church in Japan. So recently, church was built, or so I mean, Egyptian brothers bought a very old church from Protestant church, and before that, there were no church in Japan. So this is the story. How did I know? Did I know the Coptic Church? So it was a very sad story. When Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, so-called Daesh, did many terrorism and kidnapping in Syria and Iraq. Japanese journalist who was traveling around Syria was kidnapped by Daesh, and finally he was killed. Japanese media every day reported how his video message. So at that time he was still alive, and Daesh broadcasted the video of that Japanese journalist. So this video was edited and distributed by the Daesh, and whether he still lived yet, and but finally he was killed by Daesh.
She was killed?
Yeah. Daesh killed the journalist. So during the report by Japanese media, So Japanese media also reported the 20 martyrs. Actually, 20 Egyptians and one from maybe Ghana were also killed by Daesh, and the martyrs were Christians from Egypt and kidnapped by ISIS. So Christians in Egypt were killed by ISIS at the same time. So this was the first time that I realized that there were native Christians even in Egypt or Syria or some Middle East countries. So they were converted. They were not converted Christians. They were native Christians. So I mean that they didn't convert from Islam by modern missionaries from Europe or United States or elsewhere Christian countries. So before this, I didn't realize that still there are so many Christians and many Christian traditions in Egypt. The holy martyrs maybe try to tell me their living itself, their living belief. So they taught me they are Christians and they have rich traditions and introduced me their faith. So they were killed. They were killed. Faith is still alive in me and very far from Egypt, and their martyrdom recalls me the word of theologist. The blood of the martyrs is a seed of church, and I wanted to imitate this Coptic martyrs' faith. Just after this news, I searched about activities of Coptic Church in Japan, and I finally found that they didn't not have their church at that time, but they borrowed some Protestant churches in Japan, and they kept their divine liturgies in Tokyo or many other cities. So, and finally they obtained the chapel, Protestant chapel in Kyoto area. It is west of Japan, so it is very far from my home. It is over 500 kilometers from my home. So it is very distant from very far from my home. But me and my wife, try to go to Kyoto Church. So, so the father, the former father, his name was Joshua Tadros. So Father Joshua sometimes went to Tokyo area, and they kept their liturgies in Tokyo area, and so there were many Coptic Christians in also Tokyo area, and we met the Father Joshua, and I attended. Sometimes I attended the liturgy held in Tokyo. only on her. So, and father offered me
really cool.
to have baptism. So just for 3 or 4 times I attended. But the Father Joshua recommended to have baptism. So I told the father that I already had been baptized in a Lutheran church, and I asked where I could or I should have baptism again. And he answered me sharply. I should have a baptism again by immersion, with the tradition of church of pieces of evidence of ancient churches, and I decided to have baptism again. So first I baptized in Lutheran church. I was just sprinkled, not immersion.
In which church did you get baptized?
It was Lutheran church.
Protestant?
First I be baptized.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I decided to have baptism again. So it was in February 2017. So just 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So it was my story. How I find the Christ.
Okay, Thomas. Thank you so much for your time today. We will learn more about Thomas's baptism story, but in our next episode. I'm Sherry Bahum. God bless.